in your wham-whams, get your drinks, your Kool-Aid, get your shot glasses, get it all ready, roll your blunts. I got a feeling this is going to be a very informative debate. We got a well-known humble mystic here. He's a scholar all across this app. Very, very intellectual gentleman. GDNCAPONE. He's been out there hiding, but he's came into the ring to get into this debate. The Ur of Chaldeans, is it an anachronism? Or is the Habiru Hebrew? Okay. So judges will be Lady Shay, who is always here and present, will be Shayna. Can you pronounce your new name for me, huh? If I can get it right. Pronounce your new name for me. Machada. Okay. Well, you see, that's her down in box 10. And the other judge would be Mel Slim J. And we also have Sun God Ra as a participating judge this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to tune in for one of the great debates here on the Ring of Fire, featuring GDNCAPONE and the Humble Mystic. Guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in debating, feel free to hit the host up in his inbox. Let him know what you want to debate about. If you guys want to get into a very deep discussion, hit the host up and let him know what you want to discuss. Bring your topics here to the Ring of Fire. This is a space and a community where we can throw them punches and we can have a very good intellectual conversation. Judges, go ahead and get your pens, your pads, get you something to write on, take you a little notes, because this here is going to be informative. A lot of information is going to be passed through this panel tonight. So I want you guys to tune in. Take the cotton out of your mouths, out of your ears, put it in your mouth, and let's listen up and see who's going to take on this debate as the champion tonight. Here at the Ring of Fire, everybody is a winner. Everybody's a winner. But tonight, these gentlemen got to come with their A game. They got to bring it. Okay? So, with that being said, we will be getting ready for this debate. Also, while you're in the comments, please go ahead, guys, and share the live to at least 10 of your friends. Go ahead. We don't ask for much over here. We don't ask for anything. But tonight, we want you to go ahead and share the live. Gift the panel, gift the host, if you don't mind. Let's get this crunked up and let's get the Ring of Fire on fire. Ding, 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 ding. Let's get it.
Peace and blessings to everybody on the panel and everybody came to see this debate. The title of this debate is a two-part debate. The first part is Ur of the Chaldeans an anachronism. I just want to define what an anachronism is so y'all, the viewers, the judges can understand what perspective I'm taking or what standpoint I'm taking. An anachronism is any detail placed outside of its proper historical time. An object, a name, a people, or an idea that did not exist in the era where it belonged or where it's being claimed. When text contains anachronisms, it poses itself. It reveals the worldview of the later writer, not the period it pretends to describe. With this in mind, I stand firmly on a position that Ur of the Chaldeans is an anachronism. The Chaldees did not exist as a defined ethnic or political group during the period of Abraham is supposedly placed in 2000 BCE, the first millennium. Right? I'm at the second millennium. The biblical phrase reflect later authors' geography, geography, and Abraham's world. The Habiru are not the Hebrew. The second mistake people often make is saying that the Habiru or the Hebrew is part of the Habiru. Number one, I'm going to show how the Habiru is a social class label, not an ethnic group. It refers to a displaced, marginal, or stateless people across Mesopotamia, Canaan, and Egypt. The term appears centuries before any identifiable Israelite or Hebrew groups. So we're going to get into that in a debate as well. And so therefore, the attempt to retroactively turn the Habiru into the Hebrews itself is anachronistic. So we're not. Thank y'all for that time, y'all.
All right, GD Capone, 2 minutes on the clock for your introduction. Let's get it.
All right, shalom, everyone. My name is GDNCAPONE, and today I will be debating Humble Mystic about if Ur of the Chaldeans is an anachronism, and also are the Hebrews the Habiru. Like the brother Humble just stated, that anachronism is using something in the wrong time period, like using a phrase or a word in a time when it didn't exist. Now, for someone to say that something that is historical is an anachronistic term, they have to have some strong evidence, in which my opponent Humble, he doesn't have. All he has is his deniability in how he want to argue, how he want to make a fallacious argument from silence. And also today, so let me share my screen because I got to read this. I gotta read this, right? So also today, I will be proving without a shadow of a doubt that Ur of the Chaldeans is not anachronistic, and the Hebrews are the Habiru in antiquity, right? Also, this is so this was the definitions of this is the definition of anachronism, something belonging or appropriate to a period other than that which it has existed or it is portrayed, something belonging or appropriate to an earlier period, especially as it seemed conspicuously old-fashioned or outdated, right? So I mentioned an argument from silence. So argument from silence is a line of reasoning that uses the absence of evidence to draw a conclusion, often stating the fact is untrue or an event did not happen because a source failed to mention it, right? So the evidence of absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Go ahead.
Okay, we got our first two introductions. Humble Mystic and GD Capone, with the Ur of Chaldea being anachronistic, or is the Habiru Hebrew? Go ahead and roll the dice. Highest number will go first. Humble Mystic, 7 minutes will be on the clock. This is our first round in this debate. You said what? 8 minutes. 8 minutes will be on the clock. This is our first round in this debate. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, the clock will start. Humble Mystic.
All right, I'm ready now. Round one, the ontological constructive, right? Ur of the Chaldees is an anachronism. Point one. Ur of the Chaldees is an anachronism. The claim the phrase is historically impossible because the Chaldeans did not exist at Abraham time, as I stated earlier. Scholarly foundation. Mark van de Meerut, professor of ancient Near Eastern history, Columbia University. The Chaldeans are not mentioned in any source before the 9th century BCE. Nahum Asarena, right, at Brandeis University. Chaldeans is a later editorial edition reflecting later exilic geography. William D. Barak, professor of Old Testament, the Master Ceremony. The phrase Ur of the Chaldeans is a post-Messianic editorial update reflecting knowledge of the Chaldeans long after Abraham's time. Stephen O. Smoot, BYU Studies. The Chaldeans did not exist as a direct group until the early first millennium BCE, making the phrase an anachronism when applied to Abraham's era. Why this matter? Abraham is traditionally dated at 2000 BCE. The Chaldeans appear 1100 years later, 900 BCE. You cannot be from a people who did not exist yet. Facts. This alone make the phrase a textbook anachronism. Additionally, explanation for judges and audience. Let's get it here, y'all. So right here, he said he's going to be showing proof, right? So this is a cuneiform tablet of the Ur 3 period, 2100 to 1800, right? So now why is this cuneiform so important? Because this cuneiform, like many other cuneiforms, right, from the Amorites, right, we have 100,000 cuneiform tablets. These tablets list dozens of ethnic groups: the Amorites, the Siberians, the Akkadians, the Amalekites, and all of these tablets, none ever mention a Chaldees. And all of these tablets are from at least 2100 to 1800 BCE. So now my opponent is saying that he have evidence, right? And then he claimed at the end of his opening that apps or absence of evidence is not the same as silent evidence. Well, this is not absence of evidence. This is evidence that these people simply did not exist during this time period, because if they did, they would have been documented. The term Chaldees refer to a specific ethnic group that emerged in southern Mesopotamia well after Abraham's time. Historical and archaeological records show no mentions of the Chaldees before the 9th century BCE. This means that when the Bible texts say Abraham came from Ur of the Chaldees, it is applying a later name to an earlier period that is like calling the medieval knights a Renaissance man. The label simply did not exist yet. This anachronism is important because it highlights how the biblical text was edited or updated by later writers who used contemporary terms familiar to their own audience rather than preserving the original historical text. Judges and audience should understand that this phrase is not a direct historical memory, but a retrospective label placed on Abraham's story centuries after his timeline. Point 2, what the tablets actually say. Claim cuneiform tablets record contradicts the biblical phrase. The evidence: over 100,000 tablets from major Mesopotamian sites as Ur 3, Old Babylonian, Murray, Elba, Nuzi. These tablets list dozens of ethnic groups, but never the Chaldeans. MAR.TU, the Amorites. LU.SU.A, the Sumerians, the Siberians, the Akkadians, the Amalekites, but no Chaldean, no Chaldeans. Scholarly foundation: W.G. Lamont. British Assyrianologists. The Chaldeans are conspicuously absent from early cuneiform records, which meticulously document other ethnic groups in Mesopotamia. J.A. Berksman, University of Toronto. The extensive administrative texts from Ur and surrounding regions make no mention of the Chaldees during the early 2nd millennium BCE. Amali Kuhart, the professor of ancient Near Eastern history, University of London. The ethnic landscape of Mesopotamia in Abraham's time was a diverse, but the Chaldeans emerged only later periods, absent from the rich cuneiform corpus of the earlier era. Why this matter? This is not absence of evidence, like I said earlier. This is evidence of absence. The most heavily documented region of the world. If the Chaldeans were present, the tablets would show that the tablets would show it, but they don't. The cuneiform tablets, the cuneiform tablets from this period are among the most detailed and comprehensive records of ancient ethnic groups anywhere in the world. They have included administrative, legal, economic, and tax that names people, tribes, and regions extensively. The complete absence of the Chaldeans in these records strongly indicate that they did not exist as a distinct group during Abraham's time. Judges and the audience should understand that the absence is not a mere gap in the record, but a significant historical fact. It reinforces the argument that the biblical phrase Ur of the Chaldea reflects later editorial perspective rather than an authentic historical memory from the early 2nd millennium BCE. Point 3. Ur was already dead and gone before Chaldean arrived. The claim Chaldean could not have been associated with Ur. Scholarly foundation. Sir Leonard Woodley, excavated of Ur of the Chaldees. Ur had ceased to be a city of any importance long before the Chaldeans become the dominant element in that land. K. Lawson Younger Jr., professor of Eastern history. By the time the Chaldeans rose to prominence, Ur was a shadow of its former self. They largely abandoned and political insignificant, which mean the place that the Chaldeans was supposedly went to was abandoned, and it wasn't even known as Ur anymore. So that strongly reinforced the matter even more that Ur of the Chaldea is an anachronism. Why this matters? By the time the Chaldeans appear in history, Ur is abandoned. Its ziggurats is collapsing and its political power is gone. The Chaldeans never ruled Ur, never built Ur, never lived in Ur during its prime. Additionally, explained to the judges and the audience, Ur was one of the greatest city-states of the early 2nd millennium BCE, known for its impressive ziggurat and political power. However, archaeological and historical evidence show that by the time of the Chaldeans emerged as its dominance, you said time? All right. Thank y'all.
All right. That was a hefty 8 minutes for a humble mystic. Pushed out a lot of information there. I hope the judges are listening, tuning in. I hope you guys are watching and taking notes. GD Capone, 8 minutes will be on the clock when you are ready.
All right, let me share my screen real quick. All right, so right here. So, all right, I'm ready. So, the case file, Ur of the Chaldees. It's investigating a 4,000-year-old location, right? So, talking about the Chaldees, right? So, this is the first source. This is from Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. Because he said that Ur don't exist, right? It says, now Abram had two brothers, Nahor and Haran, and of these Haran left a son, Lot, as also Sarai and Milcah his daughters. and died among the Chaldeans in the city of the Chaldeans called Ur. See, it's a city. Ur is the city of the Chaldeans. In his monument is shown to this day. These married their nieces. Nahor married Milcah and Abram married Sarai. Now Sarai, hating Chaldea, the city of the Chaldeans, which is called Ur, right? On the account of his mourning for Haran, they all removed to Haran of Mesopotamia, where Terah died and was buried. Now, this is during the 1st century when Josephus is writing, and he's giving you a test to ancient history way further than the 1st millennium, because Abraham is during the time of the 2nd millennium BC. So let's go to it. It say the point of contention. It says, and Haran died in the presence of his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And I just explained that Ur is the city of the Chaldeans. And it says that's Genesis 11 and 28. And Terah took Abram, his son, and they went forth and went from Ur of the Chaldees, Genesis 11:31. This phrase identified the ancestral home of Abram, a foundational figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and his historical accuracy is therefore a subject of intense scholarly scrutiny. And we're going to find out why. Say the anatomy, a 1,000-year-old problem. Abraham era traditionally dated to second millennium BCE. The Chaldean Empire rose to political prominence in the 1st millennium BCE. This gap is nearly 1,000 years. Is the phrase Ur of Chaldees a historical error? Is it, humble? So let's go to the linguistic evidence, right? So Exhibit A, it say the linguistic footprint. So we have Chaldean records or Sumerian, ancient Babylonian / Akkadian and Sumerian records, where the word they use in the scriptures in the Bible, use Ur Kasdim, right? Kasdim, not Chaldean. They use Kasdim in the original language. So this is the evolvement in the phonetic shift of the word. So it comes from the Sumerian, which is Gaudu, right? In Akkadian, they would say Kasdu. And then it goes from that, and it takes a shift from the S to the D sound, and then in the Greek it's Chaldean. It says the name Chaldean is not a 1st millennium BCE invention. In linguistics, ancestry stretched back into the 2nd millennium BCE. It says the telltale sound shift. I just explained this. So I got a chart right here. So it says the critical clue of the phonetic shift is the sibilant S, as in Kasdu, to the L, as in Kaldu. The Akkadian linguistics shows the shift appeared in the 2nd millennium BCE. It says from the form Kaldu, the direct predecessor to Chaldean, was already in use during the Old Babylonian period. Not the New Babylonian period or the Neo-Babylonian period, the Old Babylonian period, which aligns with the traditional timeline for Abram. It says a clue preserved in Aramaic in the Cormorant Gourmand Bold. It says an expert theory. It says scholar Arson Riley suggests the biblical form of the name Kasdim, Hebrew for Chaldeans, may oh my bad, I pressed the wrong button. Pause my time.